Welcome to the speaker series on a shot glass of recovery.
Yeah. Yeah. You get a house, you get a car, then you start thinking that's all you are, but you don't know the truth. So let me spell it out for you. Now I got your attention, now there's a start. Now sit and listen to my favorite part. Life's been giving us some clues. The answer lies inside of you.
Hi, I'm Lisa, and thanks for joining me on A Shot Glass of Recovery. This is our speaker series editions, and I really want to thank you if you are a subscriber, if you've dropped $1 or $2 in the PayPal virtual basket, which is mentioned in the show notes. Any of your support can help me continue to pay for the hosting site, which allows me to bring these speakers to you, these great speakers. Today's amazing speaker has been around AA for a while. She's on the circuit, and she's just written a book called The 12 Steps in 15 Minutes. It is short and easy read and very, very helpful. Makes it so simple. Please check it out. It is available on Amazon, the author, and today's speaker, Amanda B.
Hey, family. Hey, everybody. Amanda Brown from Alabama. Thank y'all so much for letting me be here. Am I in Canada? There's Toronto. Okay. Y'all doing okay? Hey, that's about as good as I can get. All right. Thank y'all so much for having me this evening. Thank you, Lisa, for asking me. Thank you. And I thank you for your grace. This is a redo, so I really appreciate you allowing us to schedule and having me back. I told you my name. My name's Amanda Brown from Alabama. I'm a grateful alcoholic. My sobriety date is May 19th, 1991. I'm very grateful to have over 34 years sober. My home group is the Legacies Group in Montgomery, Alabama. My online home group is Back Porch International, and we meet every day at 11 a.m. Central. I want to thank everybody who is letting me see your faces. Thank you. It is really hard to talk little black squares, so I really appreciate y'all letting me see your face. So we're charged with, sharing what we were like, what happened, and what we're like now. So that's what I believe God in my experience is going to have us do. So the first step talks about that I was powerless over alcohol and that my life was unmanageable. Well, was that true in my case? Let's find out. I had my first conscious drink of alcohol when I was 12 years old. I had a 6-pack of peach wine coolers. I drank every single one of them and proceeded to have the best night's sleep of my little life. You see, alcohol immediately did for me what I could not do for myself. Now, today I know it was a blackout. But as a child, what I knew is all the voices in my head finally shut up, right? Because I would lay there at night and all the voices in my head would go, and Mama's getting married again, and now she's getting another divorce, and where we going to live, and what about me, Mom, Peepaw, blah, 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 blah. All the time in my head, I would just lay there at night and worry, right? So when I had that first blackout and had that first good night of sleep, I wanted more of that, right? Now, I don't know if I became an alcoholic in that moment, but I would tell you all my energy after that was how can I get it? How much can I get? How long is it going to last? And I was off to the races, right? And look, I'm from a small town in South Alabama. We was always having some kind of field party. I was in the marching band. There was always a party after the football game. And I hung around with people who kind of drank like I did. And we'd mix our drinks in Hardee's parking lot and drive through town and wave at everybody at the Dairy Queen. And by the time we got down there to McDonald's, it's time to mix another drink, right? And I hung out with people who, if I knew they drank and I knew their parents drank, I would steal their parents' liquor, right? And my Meemaw, I knew where she kept her liquor. It was under that kitchen sink. So I'd get a Sprite bottle and I'd pour the Sprite out. And I'd fill that bottle up with Bacardi 151 rum. And they think I'm drinking a Sprite at the dinner table and I'm already tying one on, right? I was off to the races. So I graduated high school, and then there was a major college here in the state that I always wanted to go to, and I got to go to that college, and I got to be in that college marching band. Oh, my God. Country girl come to town, right? I had 415 brand new best friends. Well, Thursday night was the college band party. Friday night was the party before the game. Saturday, I'm either celebrating or commiserating. Either way, I'm getting drunk. Sunday was pro football. and I was off, right? And I want to skip ahead to February 19th of 91. That was a significant day in my life because you see, that's the day my big mama died. Now, my big mama was my great grandmother. She might have been 5 feet tall and she was round, right? And it didn't matter if I made a C in school, and it didn't matter if I'd snuck off in mama's car to see my boyfriend and wrecked it. I was going to go in Big Mama's house and she was going to hug me, tell me she loved me, and make me some welfare macaroni and cheese with some Conecuh sausage, and I would be right with the world. Okay. So when I got the news that morning that she had died, I was just done. Right. Now I was at a college at the top of the state, and my hometown is at the bottom. And I knew I was too drunk to drive, so I had a friend drive me down. Right. And as we're driving down that road, I said, you know what? I can still see that preacher up there slamming that Bible on that pulpit, telling me that to think the sin is the same as doing the sin and you're going to hell. Well, I knew I was going to hell. How fast can I get there? Right? So the next 100 some odd days, I've been a blackout drinker from the get go. I only have 4 memories. My sponsor calls them snapshots. And I believe the God of my experience has allowed me to keep those snapshots to remind me how far down the scale I went. Okay. So I'll share them with you. The first one is I come to and I'm in a concrete stairwell and my head is hanging over one of those big black square industrial trash cans. And I'm covered in puke, pee, poop, blood, vomit, whatever you can think of. I have no idea where I am or how I got there. The second snapshot I have is I wake up and I'm in a bed. I'm in a bedroom. I don't know who that is laying next to me. And I'm checking the empties on the nightstand. Is there anything left in these bottles and cans? And then I'm running to the bathroom and I'm praying they've got Listerine, NyQuil, cough syrup, cologne, perfume, anything with some alcohol in it. And then I'm going in the kitchen and I'm praying they've got the real vanilla extract and not the imitation. Right. My third snapshot is I come to and it's loud and it's loud and my back is on fire. It's being scraped. And come to find out there's an 8-lane highway in that college town. And I have laid down in front of oncoming traffic to take a nap. So it's car horns. It's car horns honking at me to get out of the road. And my friends have me by the ankles and they're pulling me off of the road so that asphalt is just scraping my back. The last snapshot I have is I'm in a bar in that college town and there's a band up there playing on kind of a stage and we're all kind of down here and we're doing that college dance where you just kind of bobble your head and I got a cigarette in this hand and a Miller Lite long neck in this hand and I proceed to crap all in my pants. I take a puff and I take a swing. Rock on. That's where alcohol took me, right? Pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization. Now, May 18th, there was a knock at my door, and I was terrified because you see, some of my disease is I would come to, I'd get some alcohol in me, but I would still want to feel better, right? So I would go shopping. I might buy me a whole new wardrobe. I might buy you a whole new wardrobe. Maybe I need a new bedroom suit, right? And nobody ever told me that just because there was checks left in that checkbook, there might not be money in that account to back that up. So I was writing hot checks all over the place, right? So out of the mailbox out of where I was staying were these long, brown, official-looking envelopes that said federal government. Now, they had my name on it. Now, I'm the kind of alcoholic, if I don't look at it and I don't touch it, it ain't real. So I just left them envelopes there, right? They don't exist. So when that knock came on the door on May 18th, I was terrified that it was the police coming to get me. So I opened the door and my mother's best friend is standing there. And she turns down the hallway and she says, Angie, Angie, she's here, she's here. And my mother comes running down the walkway and she hugs me and she tells me she loves me and it's going to be okay. You see, those 100 some odd days I had not had any contact with her or my grandmother. And that was extremely odd for me. My mother thought that I was going to be dead in that apartment. So she comes in and she says, well, I don't know what's going on with you. She said, but I'm going to give you 2 choices. One, I can take you to lunch. I'll tell you that I love you and I'll leave. Or you can decide to get some help. Said, I'm going to give you 2 hours to think about it. So her and one of the friends left and the other friend stayed with me. And I told that friend I might have written a few bad checks. So she calls a lawyer friend of ours, and I could tell by the tone of that conversation that I was in a lot of trouble. And I felt like I was way too cute to be going to prison. So by the time Mama came back, yes, Mama, I want some help, right? Now, so May 19th, 1991, I was at the very bottom of the state in Mobile, Alabama, in Providence Hospital on the 10th floor in the psych unit. I will never forget the sound of those metal doors closing behind me. Now, let me tell you something. May 18th, I was all, yes, mama, I want some help. May 19th, driving down there to that hospital, I'm telling my mama what? And I'm pulling off my acrylic fingernails and I'm telling her I'm going to go back to that town and I'm going to, right? Forgot the pain of a few 24 hours ago. So I was in that facility for 60 days, and a lot of things happened while I was in there. And one of the things that happened was I made the mistake of telling my psychiatrist I might have drank a little bit. Well, unbeknownst to me, he was a recovering alcoholic. So he started sending me to them AA meetings. Now, the only good thing about that was it got me off the 10th floor. So here we are on the drunk bus, and they're taking us to all these meetings, right? All these old farts. None of them look like me. They all want to shake my hand. I don't want to shake their hand. I don't want to hug them. What do they want from me? And all I could hear was differences for a long time, right? Which my sponsor later called technicality. Until one day a young lady got up at the Alano Club. And she had kind of grown up like I did. And she had certainly done the things that I had done to get what we had to have on a daily basis, right? But she looks happy and she's clean and she's had a shower and she's probably wearing underwear. And she's talking about that she's happy today and that she's free today and that she's an alcoholic. Could that be what's wrong with me? Could I be an alcoholic? And that day, my ears opened up. And instead of listening to the differences, I started listening to the similarities. And here's what I know today: our specifics may be different, our details may be different. But if I talk about that I felt different from the time that I was born, or if I talk about the hole in my soul, everybody in this room knows what that feeling feels like, right? So when I left that facility, I didn't know where I was going. They had gathered up all them brown official looking envelopes, and we knew that the least amount of time I was looking at was 15 years at Julia Tutwiler Prison for Women, which is right down the road from where I live today. So when I came out, I didn't know if it was going to be a police car, mama, what, right? So when I came out, there was my mama. She was standing by her car, and she had this long white piece of paper, contract looking thing. So she said, "Here, Amanda, I want you to read this." So I'm reading it. And it says, okay, she's going to let me live with her. I got to pay $200 a month rent. She's going to buy the groceries. I got to cook 2 nights a week. She's going to let me use the car. I got to keep it clean and keep gas in it. I got to get a job. She ain't going to have no man over. I can't have no man over. And it was like that all the way down the contract, right? And at the very bottom, it talked about that she had went and paid all the hot checks and all the fees, and it was $10,000. And that I had 10 years to pay that back, or I would have to finish my time. So I'm standing in that parking lot with my first, choice in some kind of clarity or sobriety. Go to prison, live with my mama. Now let me tell y'all, it took a minute. I didn't always know what it was gonna look like when I went off with my mama. But I'm very grateful that I made the decision to go and live with her and started living a sober life. So my first home group was a little bitty group called the Level Plains Group of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's on a little highway in the middle of nowhere. And I can still remember walking in that building in my first meeting, and I see where everybody was sitting. And right over here on this side of the table was a little bitty short lady with silver curly hair and glasses. And there was an empty seat. And then there was a little bitty short lady with blonde curly hair. Now, that was my sponsor to my right, and the first lady was my grand sponsor. How do I know? Because she told me. She told me she was my sponsor. And Gloria told me something that night after the meeting I'll never forget. She said, "Amanda, we're going to show you that you never have to drink an alcohol, excuse me. You never have to take another drink of alcohol ever again if you don't want to. And we're going to help you not to want to." And she took me to the big book when she took me to the doctor's opinion, where I learned that I was not just a bad person, right? That I have a physical allergy, just like I'm allergic to penicillin, just like somebody who's allergic to strawberries, right? And that I have a mental obsession. And what that means is when I get a thought or an idea, I do not let it go. I hold on for dear life, right? And that I have a spiritual malady. And she put it to me like this. She said, "Amanda," she said, "if you were eat up with cancer and they told you tomorrow down at the CVS they were going to be giving out these little blue pills that would cure your cancer, would you go?" "Well, yes, ma'am, I'm going to be first in line." She said, "Okay, You have the disease of alcoholism. And this is your little blue pill. Now, this has a fancy cover on it, but this is our basic text, Alcoholics Anonymous, right? Excuse me. And in there is the spiritual program of action that I do my best to live my life by every day of my life. So, could I see that I was powerless over alcohol and that my life was unmanageable? Absolutely. Now we get to step 2, and now she wants me to start praying, and now we got a problem. Because you see, I didn't want anything to do with God. God had never done anything for me except take away the people that I love. And I knew that God was an angry God, and I didn't want to have anything to do with it. So when we got to the official second step in the big book, she asked me a question. She said, Amanda, do you believe that I believe in God? Well, yes, ma'am. She said, would you be willing to pray to my God? And I thought about that for a minute. I said, okay, I'm willing to do that. So in the morning, I would wake up and I would thank glorious God for watching over me through the night. Glorious God, please keep me sober today. And when I would lay my head down at night, I would say, glorious God, thank you for keeping me sober today. Glorious God, please watch me through the night, right? Until we got to the official second step in the big book. And when we did, she had me do an exercise. She got a yellow legal pad and drew a line down the middle. She said, now, Amanda, on this left side, I want you to write down everything that you think about God today and give it a name. Okay. Zeus, hateful, vengeful, mean, unforgiving, all of those kind of angry words, right? She said, now, on this right side piece of paper, I want you to write down the qualities you would like for your God to have and give it a name. Okay. Santa Claus, happy, joyous, free, loving, kind, sense of humor, gentle, forgiving, all those kind of words, right? She had me cut that piece of paper down the middle, and we shredded that left side and we burned it. And as that smoke was rising, she said, okay, Amanda, that is you letting go of your old ideas. Now I want you to take that right side piece of paper and tape it to your bathroom mirror, and that's the God I want you to start praying to every day. And I will tell you that exercise and the little black 24-hour day book were the 2 most important things to help me get a relationship with a creator that I'm then willing to abandon myself to in step 3. Now, when we got to step 3, we got on our knees on that nasty clubhouse carpet and we held hands over that broke down AA chair and we said the 3rd step prayer. And I will tell you, I thought that was it for a lot of my early sobriety, right? I would save that prayer for big stuff. What I know today is I can put any person, place, thing, situation, or institution in that 3rd step prayer, surrendering it to my higher power, and then turn my thoughts to someone I can help. What do I mean by that? When we were trying to decide where to send my kids to school, God, I offer our children school unto thee, to build with it and do with it as thy will. Relieve it of the bondage of self, that it may better do thy will. Changing the pronouns all the way down, right? When I'm having issues with my mama, God, I offer my mama to thee, to build with her and do with her as I will. Relieve her the bondage of self, changing the pronouns all the way down, right? And so anytime that person, place, or thing comes back to my mind, I put them back in the 3rd step prayer, surrendering them to my higher power, because the God of my experience is the gentleman. He doesn't take anything from me. I have to surrender it. And then turn my thoughts to someone I can help. Go wash the dishes, go walk the dog, go call somebody in AA, go get in a meeting, right? And it's not just a once in the morning thing. Anytime throughout the day, whatever I'm putting in that 3rd step prayer comes back to my mind, that is my ego trying to take it back. So I do the whole thing all over again, right? And we keep evidence journals, and it's really interesting and fun to go and look how everybody's 3rd step prayer stuff gets handled, usually within 14 days. The longest we've seen is 21, right? Then we get to step 4 and 5, and that's where I learned a lot about why I felt different, why I felt like I had a hole in the soul, right? From my very first memory. My very first memory, I'm 5 years old, I'm in kindergarten, we're over there playing on the playground, and the kids are going around talking about what their parents do for a living. And I said, well, I don't have a daddy. Because you see, that was just easier than telling the truth. The truth was, my mother was a young mother. She got married right out of high school to a drug addict, alcoholic biker who used to beat her. So when she was 6 months pregnant with me, he got a shotgun and threatened to kill her. Well, that's when she called her daddy, my peepaw, to come get us, and that's how we got in my hometown. Now, all that is way too complicated for 5-year-olds. It's just easier to say, I don't have a daddy. My second resentment came when I was 8 years old. They used to take you to the library and they would sit you in front of a little machine and there'd be an adult sitting right across from you. And they'd put headphones on you and that adult would be over there pushing buttons and you're supposed to raise your hand in whatever ear you hear the beeps, okay? I never raised my hand. Come to find out I have something called nerve deafness. They didn't know that because how my brain compensated was I became an excellent lip reader, right? So back then they didn't believe in putting hearing aids on children. What that meant was I was on the special ed list the rest of my school life, all the way through high school. And so I had to sit in the front of the classroom so I could read the teacher's lips. I couldn't sit in the back with my friends, right? And then I had to go to speech therapy twice a week because I don't hear consonants like W's and R's. My third resentment came when I was 8 years old. I told you my mother was a young mother. She'd gotten married right out of high school. Now she wants to go to college and better herself. Well, that's fine, but she wants to move 4 hours away. And she's asking me as an 8-year-old child, do I want to stay there with me, Mom, Peepaw, my safe place? My school's up the road, my aunt and uncle across the road. That's my church. That's my dance school. Or do I want to go 4 hours away and live with her? I chose to stay there in that hometown with my safe place, and my mama left me. Now, I'm going to skip ahead to the age of 12. I heard a speaker say one time if we could keep children turning 12 and being raised in Southern Baptist churches, we'd have a lot fewer alcoholics. And that was certainly true in my case. So 3 things happened the year that I turned 12. One was the day that I learned how to lie. Now, I was a very busy child. My Mima would pick me up and I would change clothes in the back of the car and I'm either going to dance or band or dance or band or show choir or youth choir or something, right? And on this particular day, Mima and I got our signals crossed. And I didn't know where Mima was, and she didn't know where I was, but I knew when she found me, it was going to be bad. Because back in them days, you got your butt beat. You had to pick your switch. And if your switch didn't have enough chook, 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 chook to it, Mima had to pick the switch, and God help you if Mima had to pick it, right? Well, she did. She switched me so bad that day, I had blood running down my legs. And I called my mama and told her what my Mima had done. And my mama drove the 4 hours down and sat across from that kitchen table, and she told my Mima, you will never lay another hand on my child as long as you live. Now, I will tell you, Mima kept that promise, but there was lots of times I wish she'd have just beat me because withholding love from a child like that and that kind of silent scorn was so much worse. That day, I learned to CYA. I was going to do whatever I had to do not to ever get beat like that again as long as I lived, and I became a masterful storyteller. I would lie when the truth was good enough. The second thing that happened, people and I were out there fishing one day, and we were talking about that sometimes I would wake up and I would see Peepaw and Mima arguing in their underwear outside their bedroom, right? And that bothered me. I didn't realize as a child that put fear in me, and we're talking about that, and I said, well, Peepaw, why don't you just get a divorce? Mama does it all the time, right? Didn't think nothing else about it. So I came home one day, and Mima and Peepaw had been crying, and I had never seen either one of them cry before. So Peepaw packs his lap and says, come here, Amanda, come sit down. So I go sit down, and he starts reminding me of that conversation. And do I remember that conversation? Yes, sir, I do. And he said, well, do you remember what you said? I said, yes, sir. I said, why don't you get a divorce? And he said, well, we are. Oh my God, Amanda, why did you say that out loud? You said it out loud. You put the idea in his head. It is all your fault. Oh my God, why did you say that out loud? What's going to happen to you? Where are you going to live? Oh my God, why did you say that out loud? Now, the reality of that situation was Peepaw had started having an affair with my Meemaw's married best friend who divorced her husband, married my Peepaw, and they built a house across the pond my Meemaw could see out her kitchen window the rest of her natural life. Now, third thing that happened that year, I'm not having a great year, right? And my mama had always told me when I turned 12, if I wanted to, I could find my real daddy. I only had one picture of them. It's them on their wedding day. He was really tall and skinny. They called him Slim. One blue eye, one green eye, military haircut, in a suit, right? And I'm thinking, maybe I need to find him. Maybe he's rich. He can take me away from all this, right? Yes, Mama, let's go find my real daddy. So she starts making phone calls. Lo and behold, he was living with his mama. That should have been clue number 1 right there. So we go up to Tennessee, and I meet my grandma, and I meet my grandpa, and I'm from a small town. Everybody looks like us, talks like us, right? And this thing rides up on a really loud motorcycle. I've never seen anything like it before in my life. Looked like a woolly booger sitting on a motorcycle. And it gets off the motorcycle and it's got a beard down to its belt buckle. It's got hair down to its butt. It is covered in tattoos. And this one right here says the whole thing of F off. And I never even heard anybody say that, let alone seen it in ink on somebody's body. And it comes in the house and it says, well, aren't you going to hug your old man? No, I did not hug him. That was the other half of me. He wasn't taking me nowhere and I needed a drink. And it was right after that that I took that first conscious drink of alcohol, right? And I wrote about the behaviors and the things that I had done. And when I finished that first fifth step on the back of that clubhouse, I had my first spiritual experience in AA. When my sponsor got up and came over and hugged me, first time I had felt unconditional love since my big mama had died. Now, then we get to step 6 and 7, and this is what really scared me because I really thought that God was going to snatch my skin off and let my innards make in a pool on the floor, right? Because she's telling me I got to be entirely ready to let all these character defects to go, but they are not character defects. They are survival skills. And you don't understand, if I didn't have all of these, I would not be alive today. And no, I'm not ready to let any of them go. Certainly not all of them. She's like, Amanda, would you might be willing to let one of them go? Maybe one? I said, okay, I'll try one. And she was right. My creator was gentle with me. And the first thing that he started really convicting me with was telling the truth because I would just lie all the time. And I'd be talking to somebody before the AA meeting and I would tell them a lie. And have to walk across the clubhouse and tell my sponsor, Gloria, I just told Harley Bill a lie over there. She's like, well, you got to go tell them the truth. I had to walk back across the clubhouse, go over there, Harley Bill, I just lied to you. Let me tell you what the truth was, right? And so that was the first thing. And then the second thing was cash register honesty. Stop stealing. Stop taking money out of my Meemaw's purse. Just ask her. She'll give it to me, right? And I didn't need any more silverware from Waffle House. I had plenty. Stop stealing, right? And then I made that list in step 8, and then I started making those amends. And somewhere in step 9, I realized that the power I'd been praying to was real. That's the only way you could describe or explanation as to how these amends were going the way they were going is because that power I'd been praying to was real. And then in step 10, we continue to take personal inventory, and when we are wrong, we promptly admit it. Now, when I first got sober, promptly might mean 2 to 3 months. Now, it's 2 to 3 minutes. I can't stand the way that feels on me today, right? And I will tell you, for a lot of my early sobriety, I did 10 and 11 wrong. What I know about step 10 for me today is it is in my awake hours. Am I having a feeling while I am awake? Am I having selfishness, anger, fear, resentful, irritation, aggravation, whatever word I want to use? Am I having a feeling? Because if I'm having a feeling, I got to do something with it, okay? I have a step 10 list. My sponsor's name is at the top of it, and then I have several women listed under that. So that if I can't get my sponsor on the phone, I'm calling one of these other women. Now, mind you, I'm still going to go tell my sponsor, but I've got to process this with somebody now, right? And some of that processing looks like, well, first of all, let me do a check. Am I hungry, angry, lonely, tired? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And mine is H to the 3rd power. I can't be hot. I can't be hurting, right? So am I any of those? Angry. Am I feeling an emotion? It doesn't have to be angry. Am I feeling a powerful emotion? Lonely. That doesn't necessarily mean am I the only one in the room. Am I over here wallowing in self-pity? Am I having terminal uniqueness and nobody understands? Okay. And then tired, exhaustion. And look, especially when we're raising babies, oh my God, we're exhausted all the freaking time. So we wake up 1 out of 4 or 2 out of 4 or 3 out of 4. Well, I need to know that because that's the perception. That is the glasses I'm looking through until I get in a solution, right? That is the fog in my brain until I can take care of that. So that's one of the first checklists I'm looking at. Am I seeing one of the 7 deadly sins pop up in my life? Am I over here eating a whole bag of Oreos when one would do? Well, what's going on with me that's causing me to practice that, right? Am I over here spending 3 days in my bedroom with the door locked watching Harry Potter and don't come out and ain't taking care of the kids and ain't taking care of the husband and I hadn't fed the dog and none of that? Well, clearly something's going on with me, right? And then we get in there and then we start getting the solution and we do little mini 4 steps and which look a little different than the way they are in the book because who we mad at, why we mad at them, what's it affecting with an A, and then how are the character defects manifested, right? And then I may make a gratitude list, or maybe I need to write an angry letter and get that feeling out of me and read it to my sponsor and then get rid of it. So there's lots of things we can do to help take care of those feelings. Because I want to be a light and love and peaceful. I don't want to have all this ruling me. Because if I'm having a feeling and I'm not taking care of it, it is coming out sideways somewhere. Okay? Step 11, thought through prayer and meditation to improve my conscious contact. Right? Now, when I first got sober, I really thought you had to light a candle, cross your leg, do your hands like this, and go, and I knew I couldn't do that, right? And so all we had was the little black book, and so Gloria would say, Amanda, are you willing to read the middle part and the meditation part? Yes, ma'am, I am. And then she would add things to that, right? She'd say, now I want you to start reading the prayers and the meditation, right? At the clubhouse, there was a table in the back of the room that was covered in books. And we were encouraged to go read those books, and it was all kind of stuff. Emmett Fox, Sermon on the Mount, Fulton Alver, Greatest Story Ever Told, Dale Carnegie, How to Stop One and Start Living, Sam Shoemaker, I Stand at the Door. I mean, you name it, it was back there on that table. We were taught to seek. We were told if you want to go to church, fine, go try a church, right? But whatever you do and whatever you're seeking, take what you like and leave the rest, right? And I have a dear friend that says, keep seeking until you find the places where you feel the newness of your Creator. And then when you find that place, go back there often. Honey, I'm in the woods at least 4 or 5 times a week. It may be hiking. It may be sitting in the middle of some trees. I'm over here sitting by the river. I'm at the beach. I have found the places where I feel the newness of my Creator, right? Writing a gratitude list is a form of meditation. I can do that in handwriting. I can do that standing in the middle of the Winn-Dixie. God, I'm grateful for that little produce boy over there putting them bananas and them apples out. God, thank you for the farmers who grew that produce right there. And God, I thank you for the electricity in this building. I thank you whoever invented this refrigeration unit over here. And God, I thank you for whoever invented tin and thought to put green beans in a tin can. Thank you, God, for that right there, right? I can do that anytime, any place, anywhere. And for anybody who says they don't know how to meditate, oh, I can't meditate. That is a lie we tell ourselves because every human on the planet knows how to worry. And worry is negative meditation. You are meditating negatively on the same thing over and over. And what if this and what if that? And oh my God, and catastrophizing and all of that. That is negative meditation. And if you can do that, which you can, then you can meditate. Let's flip that. Let's make it positive, right? One of my mentors did. I was in a rut around 15, 16 years sober, and he showed me something I'd never even thought about. He said, Amanda, get your big book. So I got my big book. He said, now, let it fall open to a page. Okay. Now find you some sentences on that page. Yes, sir. Now read those sentences. Okay. Yes, sir. Now, Amanda, take a minute to think about what you read. Is there anything important in that? Is there a way that you can apply what you just read to your life? Right? So just something as simple as that is a form of meditation. Find something that works for you. And then as the result of working these steps, I had the spiritual awakening. I had that psychic change. I was transformed. I was not the same woman I was when I came into these rooms, right? And then I'm supposed to carry the message and practice these principles in all my affairs. And my sponsor used to say, Amanda, are you carrying a mess or are you carrying a message? When that chairperson's up there bringing a topic, right, in the meeting, and when it gets to me, do I have experience, strength, and hope with that topic? Did I live something similar where I didn't find it necessary to take a drink? Or am I over here whining about my day, right? How am I acting before and after the meeting? Because let me tell you, you may be the only example of a big book somebody ever gets to see. That's what my sponsor told me. Said, Amanda, are you going to be a good example or a bad example? I was coming in them meetings, I was still dressing like a hoochie mama. All my stuff was still hanging out, right? And she's like, Amanda, do you want to be a reason that young man next to you gets distracted and doesn't hear what he needs to hear that might save his life because he's too busy over here thinking and looking at you? Well, no, ma'am. Well, put some clothes on, right? She had clothes in her car all the time because she never knew when I was going to come in like, right? And before the meeting or after the meeting, am I gossiping about somebody? Am I talking about somebody? Whether they're if they're not there, I'm gossiping. Am I listening? Because listening is participating in the gossip, right? Let's say I got a car full of women and we're headed to a conference. Now, I cannot stand a slow driver in the left lane, and I cannot get around you, especially on the interstate. Oh, my dear God, right? So let's say that's happening, and I've got a van full of women. Do they hear me cussing and fussing and throwing up some sign language? Or do they hear me saying, y'all, come on, we need to pray for this guy right here. God bless you. I hope you get to where you're going safely. Right? How am I acting? Am I being a sober woman of dignity and grace everywhere I'm going? Am I the mother getting kicked out of the baseball park because I have decided that I am the umpire and that is my son on the pitcher's mound and that was a strike? Right? How am I practicing these principles in all my affairs? So, as the result of working these steps, I get to live a life today that I never dreamed. I'll share with you a few of the goodies, right? I've been with the same man for over 34 years. He has been with me since 2 days before my 1-year anniversary. That's a whole nother story. I loopholed my sponsor because she told me couldn't date, but she didn't say nothing about talking on the phone. Uh, so we've been together over 34 years. We've been married over 26. We have 2 wonderful young adult children. My daughter graduated college. She's working on her master's. My son is a junior in college. They are really fabulous people. They have wonderful senses of humor. They have really big hearts. And AA and everybody in this community helped me raise those babies, right? I have a wonderful relationship with my mother today. Her and my bonus daddy, Chip, live down there at the beach. And I'm fortunate that I get to go down there and get to be a part of their lives. We love to travel. We love to go to state parks and national parks and Disney World and we've been skydiving and we just love life. This is my second chance and I don't want to waste it, right? The biggest thing for me though is that I am a free woman today. I'm not scared to go anywhere. I'm not scared to see anybody. I know who I am. I have a relationship with my creator today and I'm free and that feeling is absolutely unbelievable. So I'll close with this. The last 34 years of my life have been rich and meaningful. I've had my share of problems, heartaches and disappointments because that's life. But also I have known a great deal of joy and a peace that is the handmaiden of an inner freedom. I have a wealth of friends, and with my AA friends, an unusual quality of fellowship. For to these people, I am truly related. First, through mutual pain and despair, and later through mutual objectives and newfound faith and hope. And as the years go by, working together, sharing our experiences with one another, and also sharing a mutual trust, understanding, and love without strings, without obligation. We acquire relationships that are unique and priceless. There is no more aloneness. With that awful ache so deep in the heart of every alcoholic that nothing before could ever reach it, that ache is gone and need never return again. Now, there is a sense of belonging, of being wanted and needed and loved. And in return for a bottle and a hangover, we have been given the keys of the kingdom. My name's Amanda Brown. I'm a grateful alcoholic. Thank you for letting me share.
Wow, the energy. I thought this would be a fantastic way to kick off the Ontario Regional Conference this weekend. Amanda, being a circuit speaker, not one who's going to be at this ORC, but maybe one we will have in the future. Just a suggestion, committee. Her energy, I just love it. It's boundless. So thank you for joining us once again. I hope you're enjoying the speaker series edition of A Shot Glass of Recovery. Just a quick reminder to subscribe, like, or follow if you like the show on any of your favorite listening platforms. If you like the speakers and other content on the podcast, please show us some love by leaving a review and consider making a PayPal contribution to help keep the show going at paypal.me/a shot glass of recovery. Every dollar makes a difference, and we thank you. Our speakers come from my AA home group, AA Solution Seekers. We meet every day at 7 a.m., so pop in sometime and say hello. Until next time, thanks for joining me on a shot glass of recovery.
Everything you do, the answer lies inside you.